what's up, YouTube? This is a team member of Team Prohibition here. The video you'll see before this is a video of my buddy Mike. He got 39th. Well, yeah, he's running the camera here. He was telling you about how the camera guy before, which was me, got 42nd with at the Columbus Regional. Like I said, it was top 48 because we had over 400 people. That's the biggest turnout we've ever had. There was one that was close to it, but it wasn't more than 400 people.
It's amazing how me, you, and Bryce, all three ended up topping at the biggest.
Yeah. My record with this deck, you'll find out in a minute. I went 6-3. After the regional tournament, a guy got caught for marked cards, and he happened to be one of my opponents. So in technicality, I went 7-2, but at the same time, it didn't bump me up any.
You probably already seen it on Vexicus 466's channel.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what happened with me. I versed 3 different wind-up decks, and all of them, game 2, I made them actually scoop because I got rid of their entire hand with this deck. It is very trollsy. You're going to sit there and probably click away thinking that this ain't worth looking at, but it's actually very interesting, so please stick around. But
oh yeah, I went 6-3 too. I forgot to mention that last one. The Sam player. Woo! Anyways.
Alright, well, let's get into it. Like I said, don't click away. Please stay here. Starting it out, one Sangan. We're going crazy here. It's a fucking Sangan. By the way, the deck, you'll find out what it is. I want to keep it a surprise. 2 Debris Dragon. This card is MVP in all my decks. It really is. It saddens me that it's only at 2. I wish it would go back to 3.
Ooh, text message, go away. Here we go.
2 Vortex Trooper. I'll explain that card later. Like I said, do not click away, please. Then here we go.
It's better than you might think. Honestly, in play, it does wonders.
And here's the deck. Inzektors. Yes, those cards you saw before are for Inzektors. I know it's trollsy, but the most funny part is they all thought this was a Mystic Tomato. So they'll sit there and blow it up with anything they can, and I just sit there and +1, even if they have Macros Cosmo out, and then I can...
it's just when it's destroyed.
Yeah, just destroyed, period. And the fact that when I normal summon him, I can shuffle 2 cards back into the deck and draw 2 new cards. Like, it's a mini card-D, and it's so good. And the fact that I get a draw off it is even better. Some people might prefer Card Trooper, but I prefer him. Not only because of his effect, but also his attribute, which you'll find out. If you already get the hint, then by all means. 3 Centipede, that's standard. 3 Ladybug, that's even more standard. 1 Hornet, standard. 2 Gigamantis, because I love being a beat stick. I love just late game drawing him and just being able to, like, say, summon a Ladybug and bait out the Veiler by activating this effect, especially when I have Hornet engraved. They'll be like, Veiler, I'll equip him still and just beat over their monster. I did that so many times.
2 is a weird number. I see either 1 or 3 in some deck lists.
I also run 2 Hopper. Yes, 2 Hopper, because the fact, not only I can use his effect to equip Ladybug and make him a higher number in case for overlaying or something, but his secondary ability is so broken because the fact that it's not as broken as Hornet, but it's still just as good because you can send him to the grave, and that monster can then attack directly. And so whenever you say you have a Centipede out, you equip him, Centipede can now attack directly, and you get the search off of him. It's so good. And also there's a reason why there's 2 Hopper as well, because of stars, which I'll show you later. 1 Dark Armed Dragon, and 1 Dark Simorgh. This card won me games.
That is the boss monster, like, bigger boss than Dad.
There was so many times where I had a debris or Vortex Trooper engraved, and I'd sit there and I even removed a Hornet to get him off and win game. It was so good.
That's another reason why you lost against that one. Was it the wind-up player?
Well, the wind-up player that I lost to that got disqualified, I lost because me being a stupid player, he brings out Maystroke, and activates the effect and puts him face down, and I put him face down with not even realizing it.
Yeah, he wasn't quite thinking. I think the one guy was I think he was also trying to do it and hoping he wouldn't catch it.
Yeah, I think so. But still, the fact that I was a noob and I put it face down, and so yeah, that was the reason why I lost to the wind-up player. But that's the monster lineup, so we'll go ahead and get on to the spells. 1 Foolish Burial, standard. 2 Duality, just to allow me to get into Vortex. Like, say if I have a Vortex Trooper, I could just set Trooper, activate Duality, and just be able to. They'll just sit there and think, oh, it's a Sangan, no big deal, blow it up or attack into it, and I draw one instead. And just drawing, in my opinion, draw speed is so much better than searchability. But that's just my preference.
Like I explained in my video, this is good for the late game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was actually one game where I had no cards in hand. I top decked Duality, activated Duality, and drew into a not Debris Dragon, but what was it? I believe it was a Vortex Trooper. Actually, set it, and they blew it up, and I drew into Debris. Next turn, I drew Dark Samorg, and it was just too good. 1 Heavy, 1 Allure, 1 Monster Reborn,
Hobby League.
3 MST. With Inzektors being limited as they are, you need to get rid of their back rows so that you can...
of this, there's your second Hornet.
Yeah. And all in all, this card was just so good because I'd set this and I'd bait out their MSTs. I don't care if mine goes. Or I'd bait out the Heavy Storm to where then I can set all the back row I would need to. Because I do not run Starlight Road. I feel like that card, it's good, but I do not like it personally. I just don't like the idea of just them going double Typhoon and it's gone, you know. And then that just 3 of these was just so good when I was up there.
So that's why I like my deck, because I can set when I feel like it.
Only 1 Zek Caliber. I tried running 2 and even 3, and it was just, I either dead drew it and stuff. Just it was bad.
But think about it this way, guys. There's your other 2 Hornets.
Yeah. Well, the fact that like Zek Caliber, most people run more of it so they can get their Dragonfly back. I'm not worried about getting my Dragonfly back. If you remove it, I'll bring it back with Leviair sooner or later. This deck, in my opinion, is a slow roll. It's more of a control based, but still the fact remains is that I only ran 1 because I could search it out, and all I need is 1. And then I usually used it to beat over face or try and get, like, there was one time I had summoned a Hornet, equipped it with this, and ended my turn. The guy was like, oh, okay. I tapped into it. I got my Dragonfly. I took damage, and then next turn I went off with Dragonfly. It's just...
Isn't that one of the reasons why you put in some more to banish Dragonfly to reuse in 1 turn?
Oh, yeah, because I brought out... I was able to bring out the Samorg. I was also... Because I had 4 Darks and Grave, I did Samorg, and then I was able to bring out the Dark Armed Dragon in my hand as well. So I went completely off, and then the fact that I was able to...
And then Leviair into Dragonfly and...
Yeah.
Cancer and like, doo-doo-doo.
And the most broken card for this deck that no one probably ever thought about is Insect Imitation. This card is so broken because of the fact that... Okay. Because you run 3 Ladybug, you summon the Ladybug, and you activate Insect Imitation, you then tribute and bring out an insect monster 1 level higher than that monster. So, the fact he's a level 2, you could bring out a Centipede or a Dragonfly, and then just go off because your Ladybug's in Grave.
Most recommended would be Dragonfly, boom, effect, raise with Ladybug.
Exactly, and then I could overlay
into that.
And then I could just overlay. I mean, that was... This won me games because of how consistent it was. Whenever I had these 2 open hand, I'd either go off or just set a Vortex Trooper, you know? No big deal.
Also, if you guys want to run the deck, remember the BS ruling on this. You cannot choose not to raise or raise by 0.
Yeah, round 1, I was always under the assumption that you could just raise it by 0, but they say 0 is not a legit number in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So you have to raise it by a level. Yeah, that kind of hurt me, but at the same time, I was still able to work with it because of the fact that sure I don't get to go into my threes as often, but I still had I still had rank fours and rank fives I could go into. But no, this play here also, say I had a Hornet. Here I'll get in case people are forgetting little things. Say I had a Hornet, I could set Hornet, activate Imitation, put him to Grave, and I could special summon a Hopper and use Hopper's effect, equip or destroy, or even I could put my Hopper face down because of Imitation. You could bring it out in face-up attack, or you can bring it out in face-down defense. That is the best thing ever, because of the fact you're getting rid of something that you want engraved for your setup of next turn, and the fact you get to keep a little bit of a defense.
That, no pun intended, but if you play your cards right, you could actually, not mine master. Yeah, the rank 4 is these guys.
But all in all,
Shockmaster.
they all work together because of just this one card. Because, like, say I have a Dragonfly, or yeah, say
It's
I
like
have
the asceticism of Inzektors.
say I have a Centipede, and I really want to try and like overlay if I really need to. I increase Centipede by 2, make him a 5, imitate him, bring out Gigamantis for a 24 beat stick. I never did that yet, but there's still the option to do that.
It just opens plays.
So,
Yeah, would you say this deck can efficiently bring up Shockmaster?
yeah, I can bring out Shockmaster. I don't have it in my extra deck, but I can bring it out because the fact that with Ladybug I can just make them all excuse me, level 4, and stuff like that. But
So there you go. There's another option if you guys don't like a card in the extra deck.
so the Solemn Brigade, you always need that, in my opinion. But
I'm a rebel.
yeah, 2 bottomless, 1. It's you should be running this. If it was at 3, you should be running it. I mean, just how broken this card is. I mean,
It's either broken or you're siding it out.
Exactly.
There's no in between.
I'm all in like game 2. I'm always citing this out because the fact of how many wind-up players there were. I cited this out into my all kinds of cards to hurt them, which I'll show you later. But no, this helped me against a Macro Rabbit. This also helped me against a Scrap deck that actually versed. This card is too good. I ran only 2 Call the Haunted. I used to be before the regional. I was running 3, but I felt 2 was more efficient because 3 you get clogged, 1 you don't see it, 2 is just right, just like your porridge. This play, just 2 Call the Haunted was just too broken, especially when I maybe have a insect imitation in hand, and I had a Ladybug engrave. I could just Call the Haunted, imitate, and just have a dead card to maybe blow up later. And then last trap's Torrential. That's self-explanatory, especially whenever you have a Sangan or a Vortex Trooper set. You just set Torrential, set Vortex Trooper, and then you get the +1, kind of like a Card Trooper play. But
The Vortex Troopers also gave you something else along with the Call the Haunteds to pop with Hornet.
oh yeah,
If your has nothing.
yeah, like say say I had a Trooper, Vortex Trooper engrave. I'd set the Call of the Haunted just on purpose to try and get the Typhoons out. I'd set it. They draw. They Typhoon it. I chain. I draw a card. Just like any regular Sangan play. That was just, it was so good of how well this deck works together. We'll go ahead and move on to the sideboard. Oh, I have to sneeze, but it won't come out. 2 Thunder King. I sided this in against the wind-up player. I sided this in against Heroes. I sided this in. I pretty much almost sided this in almost every game.
Should have main decked it.
Nah. I tried it main deck before, and like...
Yeah, it kept clumping you pretty bad. You couldn't get
Well,
your
no,
plays
it was
off.
good, but the fact that there was still decks out there that don't add cards, they just sit there and just run it over, it wasn't worth it. I'd rather get the draw speed.
Yes, only one person sided that in on me, by the way, and I just ran it over that turn. And then Search, he was pretty mad.
2 Tragodia, because of the macro matchups. I only versed 1, and I didn't even see him. I didn't during the macro. I lost that game because of the fact I did not see one single heavy or one typhoon at all that game, and I never even saw this guy. Like it was just I don't know what he did, but
Was it
my
that Watt player?
No, it was the macro deck.
Oh, okay. Because I know the Watt player made the macro.
Yeah, well, I had no problem with him. I have no issues with macro at all because that's why I have the 2 Gigamantis. I'll just sit there and beat face.
Yeah.
The fact that the Watt player, he was running macro main decked, and his monsters, he kept trying to threatening roar and stuff, and I'd go around it. But no, 2 Tragodia because of the fact that, like, with macro, yes, I can get around it, but this helps me because of the fact that I'll have, like, a dead hornet or something in grave, or in my hand, and I can't use it because of the effect. So, anyways, 1 Book of Moon and 1 Dark Hole. Dark Hole being in sideboard because of the fact I don't know what I'm going to verse. I don't know if I'm going to get outswarmed by anything. And I just don't like it being in my main deck of this one because I like to keep control, and if I really need to, I usually always have a monster presence. So
it's one of those cards that you don't want to top deck when you don't need it.
Yeah. 2 Rivalry of Warlords. This card was the MVP against Wind-Up's Rabbit. I did see this against the Rabbit player, but he had a Typhoon, which hurt. But no, this card is so good, guys. You need to start looking into this, or Goes in Match is good, but this is even better, especially for the fact that if you run a major just one type archetype, it's good. It really is.
But one question I think a lot of people are going to ask: how did that work out with the insects, with the Vortex Troopers and Darksmore? Like, did it get in the way?
Because of the fact that you can still set cards. You can still set the cards. So I could have an insect on the field and set the Vortex Trooper because it's technically not a type. And I did talk to a judge. It does work that way. And the fact that and they attack into it, one has to die. Well, that's the Vortex Trooper going, or the insect. And it was just too good.
I guess in a way it does help Inzektors in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
With your build.
Also, that was a good card against Mermail, but I did not verse one single Mermail while I was up there. It was crazy.
I played 1.
2 debunk for any hand traps that I needed to really worry about. If they main deck 3 Veiler like the 1 Wind-Up did, I sided these in because 1 Shark's effect, I believe you reveal to activate his effect. Or it's one of those weird things. But, yeah, this was too good against Veilers and Mermail especially. The card that won me a lot of games and made people scoop was Deck Devi. There was a lot of times where I had opened up with a Ladybug and a Gigamantis, and what I did against 1 Wind-Up player, I literally did this. Summoned Ladybug, tried to bait out Veiler, he didn't buy it, so I equipped it with Gigamantis and set a Deck Devi. He drew into Typhoon, but as soon as he drew, I activated Deck Devi. I hit 5 out of the 6 cards in his hand. The 1 Typhoon was the last card in his hand. He scooped. I hit 2 Sharks, 1 Rat, and 2 Magician. Like, he was going to open up so broken, and the fact that I was able to just kill it that quick, he was just mad. But no,
the good thing about Deck Devi, especially with something like that, is you could have a bad hand, and just those 3, and you can make your opponent scoop.
So it was really good. I sided this in almost every game because of the fact a lot of decks out there now are 1,500 or less. I mean, even if somebody sided that against me, yeah, it would hurt, but I'd still have Centipede, I have Hopper, you know what I mean? It's too good of a card, this format. It really is.
I had somebody side that in on me today. The Dark World player actually did because he thought if he got rid of my Kagamusha stuff. Yeah, he didn't.
1 Transmigration Prophecy, not just because I know people probably think, oh, that's a bad card, you're a scrub. This card won me a game against a Chaos player because the guy took a Light Pulsar and attacked into my Dark Samorg. He was going to attack over with a Red Eyes, and I chained to, or how was it? No, he declared the attack, and I chained this and put his Red Eyes back to deck. And so the attack was still going through. He took damage and couldn't get the plus off of it to where he could attack over Dark Samorg. just the fact that he wasn't able, that and the fact his Red Eyes was back in deck, he was crying because he can't get over a 27 until he gets his Red Eyes back. And when he brought out BLS on me, I warninged it. I mean, I did everything, and I just made this guy cry.
Makes Chaos Dragon players cry.
On top of that, like Mermail decks, if they go, like, say, salvage, you can just wait for their 2 targets and just put it back to deck, and they'd be so mad because they don't get their plus. Also, just this card, it helped me against a wind-up player once because they went to go with Rat, and I returned their target to the deck, and I mean, it's too good of a sideboard. Like, I wish it would, I wish it would come back to 2, but at the same time, it needs to stay at 1 because they would just sit there and recycle this all over and over. And last but not least, 2 Mirrors of Oaths. I had this in there for the wind-up players. I had this in for the Dino Rabbit players. What else was there? Wow. I can't think of any other deck I've versed that it was actually good against. Like I said, I did verse 3 wind-up players, so it was so good because they'd go Magician, bring out their 1, and I'd draw 1 off this, and they'd lose their monster, and they wouldn't be able to bring out their Shockmaster. Sure, they could still overlay, but the Shockmaster is a pain. It really is. But this card is good, guys. You need to look into it. What it does is when the opponent special summons a monster out of main deck, you can destroy those monsters and draw 1 card. So, it's good. Move on to the extra deck since I'm kind of trying to wrap things up here. 1 Iron Chain. These are all debris targets. They're all my MVP of the day because I sat there and made people mill with him, or if I really needed to, blow up the field. I actually never did blow up the field at all. No, correction. I did do it against a wind-up player, which was the one I lost to. But
and this card is going to be coming back because, let's face it, Mermails.
Yeah, the idea of milling cards, it's a needleworm on wheels. It's so good. And the fact he's a 25 beat stick, like, it gets over the Megalo, it gets over the Logia if you actually bait out the effect. Shush phone. Stay quiet! I will show a combo I had with him that caused an OTK, which I'll go ahead and just do right now. Okay. What I did was, I had a Ladybug Engrave, I had a Debris in hand, and I had an Imitation. These 3 cards right here allows me to go into an OTK. Because I go Summon Debris, Effect, bring back Ladybug, Imitate it, bring out Dragonfly, Effect a Dragonfly, equip, send it, increase him by 1 to where he's a 5, because you cannot synchro with level 4s. Okay, no big deal. Bring out Centipede, use Centipede's effect, send it to add a Gigamantis to hand, and I would equip it to the Dragonfly, synchro Centipede and Debris into Scrap Dragon, and just plus all day. It was too good. It was too good. And the fact that I would blow up my own Gigamantis just to get the plus, I'd special summon something else and just equip Gigamantis, and I just kept going. I overlaid into Leviair, pulled back a card I had out of play. It was just too good of a play I had up there.
So many shenanigans.
Here's the Exceeds. 1 Zen mains. Yeah, it didn't want to slide because of these sleeves. Check that out. Old school Trish. Everyone misses them. Zen mains. Tempo won me a game against a Zen main. It was so boss. 1 Leviair, 1 Giga Brilliant, 1 Leviathan. I don't think I brought him out at all.
He's good to have.
I brought him out once, which is Acid Golem. I did bring him out once because I had to get over a. What? I can't even think of it.
You had to get over something less than 3,000.
Yeah, and I really had no other options left, and so I brought him out, and then I actually won a game because instead of detaching material, I took the damage instead, and I swung for game. Even though he had 1 back row, I didn't summon anything because it was a Torrential, which I was happy about. I didn't summon anything, just attacked in for game. Cowboy. One game he hurt me, but it happens.
Bang,
But
bang.
other than that, though, because I used his first effect, which is the whole attack thing. Most people, I advise you, don't do it. Just use it for the burn. He's a 24 into defense. Logia can't get over it. Dalka can't do anything. So just sit on him. Maystroke, he's needed in every deck. He's a Zen mains, and the fact he has a Book of Moon effect, it's too good. Ran one Gem Knight Pearl. I brought him out once to get over a Shockmaster once. Because the guy called spells, so I was able to use monster effects. I didn't have a Hornet, so this is why there's so many Exceeds.
Totally.
One Inzektor, Exostag, one Adrius, and one Gaia Charger. Just being able to take control of your opponent's monster is too good, and the fact you can maybe pull something out of their graves to where they can't use it. It was just too good, because then you pull it, and then just once it's dead, you just overlay into Gaia Charger and go ham.
Same with
Adrius. So yeah, that's the deck. Really basic, guys. I mean, it's like I said. I'm hoping you guys didn't click away, because just the deck itself is just too consistent. Like, I mean, if you want to build it, go by all means. But if you do, please reference me. I don't like my work getting copied and they'd be like, "Oh, it was my original idea." But I mean, it was a fun day that day. Whoops, backwards. But I mean, all day long, MVP, all day long. But this is Nathan Bates, and catch you later.